So, figured I'd do a video on, I'm going to scooch this, on kind of a chronic, persistent either post-nasal congestion or cough. And this is something that most people don't even realize they're doing. And it's, especially where we live in the Northwest, fairly ubiquitous. I see it all the time. When I was practicing, I physically saw it when I would look into people's throats and see cobblestoning all over the back of the throat, which is from chronic postnasal drainage. Shiners under the eyes, which you get from little capillaries bursting. By the way, that can also be a B12 deficiency when you see that. But and I am guilty of this, which is overprescribing antibiotics. Now, I did nasal swabs or cultures, MCF cultures, so we could find out what was growing, so we weren't just randomly treating a viral infection. And if the culture came back negative for bacteria, we stopped the antibiotic, made sure they were on a good probiotic. But anyways, the problem with antibioticing chronic ongoing nasal sinus congestion, post-nasal drainage, is the bacteria, the beneficial or commensal helpful bacteria that we have, help to guard our body from the the molds and fungi, the like candida that we all have. So when you kill too much of the bacteria off, and I'm not saying don't, if you have a sinus infection or a middle ear infection, you want to treat that, but it's just the way we go about doing it, or the kind of traditional medicine way, isn't great. And like people with reflux or reflux-like symptoms, they're told to get on an antacid. Well, that's problematic because we need increased acidity or low pH in our gut to help, or in our stomach, again, to help decrease. So you've got two areas in the esophageal, so the esophagus goes down to the stomach, and you have the pyloric sphincter, and different, like depending on pH, it can affect the way that flap shuts, and acid can go up into the esophagus, into the throat. For infants, or especially, it's pretty vicious, and it can mimic. It can actually mimic severe respiratory issues, even though it's the actual fluid coming up. But I guess now I kind of forgot what I was going to go over, but there are basic things that we can do to help boost the immune system, to help. So sometimes you can have the bacteria or fungi create a biofilm, and that biofilm makes it more difficult for our immune system to recognize it and recognize the pathogens. So very difficult to break down, but something that's basic that can be done if you've got, seriously, somebody's calling, chronic postnasal drainage or sinus congestion. Little iodine, povidone, mix that with saline. You can get that on Amazon, and just dilute it down, and take a Q-tip and just swab it in your nasal passages. It's very, very effective, especially if anyone in the home is sick or has been around sick people, or you're traveling, and you can put that in like a nasal spray. But if you mix up a decent amount of that, you can do a nasal swab and then gargle it for 20-30 seconds, and then make sure you spit it out. But gargling can help break up. And so if you've even for people that don't hawk things up, but they're like that's something that can help mitigate the pathogens that cause. And also figuring out if it's allergies or a chronic fungal bacterial type of thing. Um, this serrapeptase is a really cool uh, proteolytic enzyme that can significantly help with cough, with allergy symptoms. Um, Going back to the gut, if you've got gas, bloating, etc., especially after meals, there's something called betaine hydrochloride, which helps to increase acidity in the gut, which is very important. But I'm a big fan of doing either saline nasal rinses or saline and saline povidone. Um, that's 10%. You don't want it to burn. All right, so if it's burning, you're irritating the tissue. You don't want to do that. So I dilute it down to about 1%, and I think that's distracted. I think that's pretty good. But other things, vitamin C, like you want a liposomal vitamin C. Vitamin C is, and not necessarily by itself, but effective at helping decrease histamine. Interestingly, pantothenic acid, B5, like carnosine is like my favorite dipeptide. I want to make a shirt that has my favorite peptides, but carnosine is my favorite dipeptide. Beta-alanine and histidine, not histamine, histidine for brain fog, for cardiovascular health, but just awesome supplement. In fact, I have carnosine patches over there, so like heavy metal chelator for the brain, helps like anybody that's had post-COVID long haulers or vaccine injury, man, endocarditis, pericarditis, very, very helpful. Hydrogen peroxide, awesome. Nebulizing hydrogen peroxide is really effective at helping mitigate lung inflammation. Colloidal silver, you can nebulize it, you can use a spray, and you can ingest it, but when you add things like, oh, I have it too, oregano, and garlic. I used to make fun of moms that were like, oh, I put garlic in my child's ear. Garlic it's amazing, and I'm trying to figure out like, yeah, I don't know the mechanism of action, but oregano is like a bactericidal. They did it was like E. coli. They had done it on like certain bacterial resistant or antibiotic resistant bacteria, and oregano, I don't want to say killed it, but did something. Like it has known benefits, so it's pretty cool. But so doing those combinations like apple cider vinegar is another one. And again, I know I'm kind of jumping all over, but when you're trying to bind to and flush out toxins and disrupt biofilm, and on that level, thank you, Dr. Mercola. So lumbrokinase is a phenomenal anti-clotting and biofilm disrupting supplement made from the enzymes from silkworm or earthworm, Japanese silkworm or earthworm. Awesome. Seriously, it's coming again. Sorry about that. So again, things that we've seen to be very beneficial. Obviously, your vitamin D levels need to be in range. And if you live in the Northwest, if you live above the 37th parallel, and it's February, so you're not going to have any new vitamin D being made until we hit at least March. So 5 to 10,000 IU. I take a little more than that. Vitamin C, liposomal, vitamin C. Oh, zinc, right? Zinc is another fantastic antiviral and immune booster. You want to be careful taking too much zinc without knowing your copper levels, because increasing zinc can decrease copper, so you want to have a good copper zinc ratio. Um, uh, uh, Apple cider vinegar, oregano, doing povidone with saline rinses and gargles and nasal sprays or rinses. Um, Serapeptase. I mean, these are things that are very effective and beneficial at helping decrease post-nasal congestion. And again, if you've got known allergies, cut out all dairy. Like, do 2-week trial of cutting out dairy, especially cow's milk. They're pumped full of hormones and antibiotics, and they eat genetically modified food that's sprayed with glyphosate. Not good. So you want to just try and mitigate that. Doing hydrogen peroxide, saline nebulizers. Just there are a number of things that we can do, and just making sure that if you have any GERD reflux-like symptoms, doing a trial of the betaine hydrochloride is, I think, a very viable thing. Or you could do digestive enzymes before meals, especially if you have the like Shelly, my wife, I was talking to her one time. I was coming home from work, and she was just clearing her throat, and finally I was like, "What did you eat?" And she's like, "Well, I had pizza." And right as she said that, my daughter yells, "Take your NAC!" NAC. Oh, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, NAC. NAC is a pretty amazing mucolytic, so it helps to break down mucus, thin it out, and mitigate production. So, within probably 20 minutes after taking, she would do 1,000 milligrams, 900 to 1,000 milligrams when she's, well, I would recommend that she would do that. She didn't even know she did it, so she would do that, and but no drippy nose, just congestion. Anyways, those are a few things that, there's plenty, and there's so many other things that can be utilized, but those are a handful of things that can be done to help with postnasal drainage, sinus congestion, and a lot of times that can significantly help with sleep and improve sleep, especially when, like with pantothenic acid, because of its ability to downregulate histamine. That's very rarely discussed. In fact, the combination of pantothenic acid with like a liposomal vitamin C, like 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams of pantothenic acid, and if you do have skin issues, not just eczema but other skin issues, just make sure you do get labs to check your zinc and copper levels. I just spoke with somebody today who I had them increase. They started on copper glycinate and doing 2.5 milligrams. They're going to increase it to 5 milligrams. But chronic skin issues, especially on her face, and after like 4 or 5 days, she already noticed improvement. And that's again why I've recommended the either AHK or GHK, which binds to copper peptides. It's is that this one? That's the GHK. I had that on my face because I did a trial test of shaving. Well, I've done it multiple times, but I went into our house and hung out for about an hour and then shaved. And I have actinomyces because of our mold, but these were weeping lesions where I would squeeze and blood and fluid would just pour out of my face. And so I put the X39, and I think I did carnosine on this one because it was just like the before pic. I looked more hideous, but these are unbelievable at healing. So increasing fibroblast activity, collagen, etc. So this one, and interestingly, this is the one that made my knee pain go away, which thank you, David Schmidt, for creating this, because it's been a life changer for our family. So, anyways, some basics that you can do to help get all that out. I should do another one on some manual things that you can do, but try it out.